How does Steve go from this to this?
He's back! He's back!
I'm back! You got the job!
You got the job! Yay! Oh.
Let's take a closer look. First, I have to say, it was a natural transformation with hidden reasons and important details behind it. Alert! This video contains spoilers, and I don't recommend see if you only start watch this TV series right now. Do you remember how Steve was in Season 1? An asshole, superficial, and many other bad adjectives. He followed the stereotype of the superficial guy, someone who doesn't care about important things, a guy who kisses a lot of girls without forming deep or honest feelings. A mediocre guy. In Season 1, he was a massive jerk and a bully. Steve plays the role of the popular guy, while Jonathan plays the role of the bullied outcast. That's one of the reasons people hated Steve in the beginning. However, Steve gets labeled as the bully mostly because of his two best friends in the first season. Of course, he makes his own decisions, but we clearly see how they influence him into bad actions. So, when did his transformation start? Watching interviews, behind-the-scenes clips, and production comment from Stranger Things, we realized something. Behind the scenes, the Duffers saw potential in the actor. This is something the Duffer brothers themselves said. Not me. Look, this is one of those cases where the actor brings more life to the character than originally planned. It's common in movies to see the shallow guy transform into a good character throughout the story arc. So it's not strange to see this in a TV series. But with Steve, things went completely differently. He became one of the best characters in the entire show, and for many people, actually a lot of people, the best character. Some of you might agree. Let's recap. Steve shows up for the first time kissing Nancy. She's falling in love with him. They plan to meet in his car. Nancy tells her mom she's going to study, but her mom doesn't allow it because of Will's disappearance. So Steve climbs onto the roof and enters Nancy's bedroom through the window. Up to this point, the character appears only in the romantic interest lane. In episode 3 of Season 1, Steve breaks Jonathan's camera. This while Steve bullies Jonathan after saw the picture Jonathan took of Nancy at the private party. In episode 4, Steve is still trapped inside the stereotype of the superficial guy. While Nancy is worried about Barb's disappearance, Steve is only concerned about how his parents will react to the party. So based on this, Steve perfectly fits one archetype. Guess what? The asshole who changes archetype. A similar example appears in the film When Harry Met Sally. Now, here's a personal observation. Since the beginning of the show, there were hints of the new Steve. Yes, I'm not crazy. Remember when he tried to get into Nancy's pants by pretending to help her study? But the minute she showed even the slightest hesitation, he backed off and actually helped her study.
Which polymers occur naturally?
Starch and cellulose.
That was the first positive signal for his character. The catalyst moment, the point where the cursor shifts. I would say it was when Steve truly started to care about Nancy. According to the story, in episode 6, Nancy was acting weird, and because of that, Steve decides to look for her. Then comes the worst moment, the graffiti on the billboard. Everyone thinks Steve wrote it. Nancy was furious, and rightfully so. After this, Steve and Jonathan fight. But a few minutes later, we discover it wasn't Steve. It was his friends. Then Steve confronts his friends, recognizes Nancy's personality and intentions, and leaves them. Later in the episode, he literally cleans the graffiti on the billboard. Yes, this was the first real change. His redemption and transformation are completed in the last episode of Season 1. Even with his face still injured, Steve goes to Jonathan's house to apologize. There, he comes face-to-face with the Demogorgon attack. Surprisingly, Steve becomes brave and helps them fight the monster. Even though Nancy and Jonathan tell him to leave, he comes back. I think it's fair to say that, in that moment, Steve saves them. What transformation, right? The Season 2 came to prove it. At the beginning of Season 2, Steve is anxious. Nancy is analyzing and reviewing his personal college application letter. We immediately notice the difference. His dialogue is completely different from before. He's a changed man now, someone who cares about the things that matter. He's careful, thoughtful, and aware. And finally, what made him even better up to Season 5? I will list. The breakup. After Nancy breaks up with Steve, we finally see his inner thoughts outside of a relationship storyline. Then comes his friendship with Dustin, and we can see how much they both shine. It was a perfect match for a friendship, by the way. In Season 3, it gets even better. The group formed by him, Robin, Erica, and Dustin is incredible. Yes, they were major highlights of the season.
Yeah, no shit, Harrington! Press the button!
And of course, his bravery. His courage to fight the monsters and help solve the mysteries. Unlike some other characters, Steve improved every season. If you compare him to Jonathan, Will, or even Mike, you'll notice some of them became a little boring or lacked strong narrative arcs. But this didn't happen with Steve. Actually, it didn't at all. I found a comment on a video of Joe, End of Beginning, live at Laneway 2025. Yes, the actor who plays Steve sings. The comment said, "The way we went from wanting Steve to die in Season 1 to praying for his life in Season 5. That says everything about how we feel about Steve's transformation and journey in Stranger Things." Steve is a complete and genuinely interesting character. He delivers humor. He delivers mystery-solving moments. He delivers charisma. He delivers everything. And honestly, he's easily in the top 3 best characters in the entire show.